Hi, this is Paul Sanneman with Business Success Tips, where you can make more money in less time and have more fun. I'm the founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build winning teams at contractorstaffingsource.com. I have with me today John Victoria from Polianna. It's a digital marketing company. He specializes in home services. So, John, tell me a little about yourself and why should people listening to this podcast listen to you in the first place?
Thank you, Paul, for this. Yeah, it's a quick introduction. Just so John Victoria, owner of Polianna. We really specialize in digital marketing and SEO for the trades. It's been our bread and butter for the past 7 years. One of my favorite case studies is one of our clients who started with us in about 2018, about $1 million in revenue over 3-4 years, grew to 12.5 million. And they mentioned to me like a lot of their growth came from SEO. And so SEO to a lot of contractors, it's like this black magic. It's like, what are people doing? It's this black box. My goal is to demystify it and actually turn that into practical business results. And so I'm happy to share some of those insights today.
Okay. So SEO, I've heard two sides. Okay. There's SEO marketing and building a brand, and then there's pay-per-click and you pay for get leads and that kind of thing. It's sort of like two big areas, right, in marketing. And then how big a budget should people have? So let me ask you a typical question. What should let's say you've got an HVAC company doing 3 million a year, what percentage of their revenue should be their marketing budget?
Yeah, I think it really depends. Rough rule of thumb, I usually give about 10%. You can get lower than that if you have a pretty strong brand. And that's why I love folks who have a really strong brand, things are brand like they're involved with their community. They have a strong brand identity, so you can get that lower. But you're looking to grow about 10% is a good rule of thumb.
Well, three, maybe 300,000, right? A million would
That's
be
right.
okay. So I guess the question is, let's say we're at 1 million. I'm trying to figure out what to do with $100,000. I always feel bad because I may not even making $100,000. So where do I spend the 100,000? What do I spend it on? Do I spend it on branding? Do I spend it on pay-per-click? Where should I spend the money?
Yeah. So assuming you're true million, you have a product market fit, people know in the community, you're generating some business. I think first it depends on where you're trying to go. Like, are you looking to maintain? Are you looking to grow? There's a few channels that I would prioritize. Number one, given you're $1 million business, you already have a customer database. And so I think a big missed opportunity is texting and emailing your database so that, you can reactivate customers who've worked with you in the past. Second most cost effective will actually be SEO in the long run. And I know a lot of contractors, they do pay per lead, they're using Angie's, they're using Thumbtack. And the thing about that is that you're building their brand and not yours. And so, with something like SEO, you have your website, you're generating leads from it, and it's gonna be really cost effective versus, paying another platform to do that. If you're looking to speed things up, you can look at paid ads. And so you can look at Google ads or Facebook ads. Google also has a platform called local service ads where you can invest in. And then, of course, if you want to do third-party lead generators like the ones I mentioned earlier, the frustration that I hear with a lot of contractors is that, the same lead gets sent out to 5 or 7 other contractors. You're bidding to the bottom, and it's no fun. So priority number one, I'd start there, and it's probably the cheapest, and then I'd go down the line with the rest of things.
Okay, now let's say I want to talk a little bit about SEO, geo-fencing, and what's the Google thing you mentioned? It's where you pay Google to send you leads. What's it
Local
called?
service ads. Yeah.
Local service. So tell me a little bit about local service ads, SEO, and geo-fencing. Can you do that?
Yes. So local service ads, it's a program through Google where you submit, here's my licenses, my certifications, you go through a background check as well as your team. And Google is going to take you through an approval process where they're going to give you this stamp that says you are Google guaranteed, you are allowed to be on our platform. And what you can do is you can pay Google for leads. So you can set your specific area, let's say your zip code, and you're like, I want leads for AC repair. And so you plug that in, you set a budget, and then Google begins to send you leads. And so that's one very useful platform that Google provides.
How does that, what does it look like on Google when I'm paying Google for leads? And where do I show up? Do I show up sponsored? How does Google know to send me those leads? I know everybody goes to Google when I want to find anything. 90% of search, I get it.
Yes.
So I go to Google and say, my air conditioning's broke, I need a new air conditioner, or whatever. How do they decide who to send it to, when to send it to, and how to send it to you?
Well, for Google LSA specifically, it's going to be at the top. It's going to say there's going to be a green check mark and say Google guaranteed. And so the benefit of that is that you're showing up at the top. And then if you want to look at like a normal search page or right underneath that, that's sponsored. It says the Google ads. So usually it's text based, it says something there. And then there's the Google Maps section, which is another free business.google.com. You can sign up for that. There's 3 businesses there. And then underneath that is going to be the organic section. There are all the text listings. And so the first 2, LSA and Google Ads, those are obviously the paid platforms, pay to play. And then the Google Maps, as well as the organic, typically that's SEO, and that's going to be ranking organically.
Now, statistically, how many people just start at the top and don't care whether it's sponsored or Google endorsed or whatever, and just skip that and go straight to organic, or they actually start there? Any statistics on which works best?
Yeah. So there is a publication called the Data Driven Trades. They focus specifically on companies in the trades, and they track a lot of data. The Google Maps section is actually one of the biggest. I think it's 80% of the revenue that they were tracking came from the Google Maps section. And so it's not just a click, it's not a call. It's like they attributed front end to back end revenue. It was the Google Maps local search, and so that's where I'd prioritize. Depending on the study, it says like people click here, people click there. Google's changing their how it looks all the time, so it's hard to say. But organic typically generates 60 to 80% of the clicks when it comes to a search.
Okay. So is it worth paying for the Google endorsement? I mean, how much does it cost, and how do you tell if it's worth it or not?
Yeah, for the Google endorsement, it really depends on your service, but it can be 35, depending on your area, 35, 50, $60 a lead. I mean, the only way to really know is to begin testing it. The one drawback we are seeing with LSA right now is that Google has changed their algorithm yet again, and it's tougher to generate leads. And so there are people who are signed up on the platform. They say, Google, I want to spend thousands of dollars with you, but Google's not sending them anything. And so if you haven't tried it already, it's worth it to see if this could be a good lead source for you. But there are people who've been doing this for years, and Google's just not sending them any leads. And so if not, you might have to pivot.
Okay, so talk to me about geofencing, what it means, how close I can get, and does it work?
Geofencing, it's all about, laser targeting a specific location. So, let's say that you are a roofing contractor based in Philadelphia, and you don't have to target the entirety of Philadelphia. Like, you can target a very specific area. It could be a specific zip code. It could be a specific region, and you can generate, just business out of your most profitable locations. And so the beautiful part about that is that some contractors, they don't want to serve an entire city, too much windshield time to drive to an actual location. And so, if you do want to get laser targeted and get results very quickly, geofencing is a great route, and it does work.
So how close can I get? Let's say I'm an HVAC contractor or a plumbing, whatever, service contractor. I do a job in zip code 96, whatever the zip code is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zip code, right? I've got a project there. I know let's say I'm a roofing contractor. I know the roofs are bad there because they're old and falling apart. I'm doing a project there. Can I geofence that area and somehow say I'm working with your neighbor, or I have a project in your market, or somehow leverage the fact that you're actually doing something there in real time?
Yeah, there's I have a friend, I had him on our podcast, David Dope Marketing, and they do that where they target specific homes. And so, if you have a specific house that you are currently servicing a job, you can then target all of the neighbors. And so, yeah, you can get really granular with some of the data, which it's a bit scary. The big brother's always watching the data. So yes, yeah, you could get very, very scarily specific.
So I can say when everybody in this neighborhood that makes over $200,000 a year drives a Tesla, and their kids go to this preschool kind of thing. I mean, it's crazy, but it can get pretty granular, right?
Yes, Google. I mean, the platforms that people are pushing it back with how much detail you can get, because people are concerned with privacy, and rightly so. So you don't get the same targeting options as you did maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, but it's still, you can be very oddly and scarily specific with
Okay.
what you want to target.
So let's say every time I do a home, I want to target every home within a mile. I could do that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Can I even say in the ad, I'm working on a home in your neighborhood and I'd like to give you a discount because we're already there. Please, call this for your $100 discount or whatever, because we're already there. You could do something like that.
Very possibly. Yeah. Just we'd have to just spot check the language. But yeah, I think, because I think these target people too much. They're like, oh, the platforms don't like it. But you could supplement, a digital campaign with let's say a door hanger campaign. So you could hit them on digital, and you can, as you're by the homes, just drop something off at the front too. Yeah.
Okay. So what has been John, one of your biggest failures? We all have our successes and failures. So if you look at one of your failures, why did your system of SEO not work in some case? Give me an example of why you think it happened.
Yeah. So one big failure, this was actually not a company in the trades, but this was in 2020. They were a biotech company that sought out our help, and they were backed by investors. And so they had an aggressive growth goal. We started with them. We were doing SEO. We were doing some other things too. And what we ended up realizing was, based off of the customer feedback they were getting, their product was really not that great. And so we told them, let's pull back on marketing. Let's stop this growth trajectory, because people just aren't happy. But there was this internal pressure from the investors to get some numbers rolling. And so we ended up coming to a decision that this is not a good fit. And we communicate like, this is not something, you need to solve this problem first. Marketing is not the solution.
You don't want to sell something that sucks, obviously.
Exactly. But there's just, I think that external pressure of an investor, it just really messed up the economics for that. So I was really disappointed that they couldn't, we couldn't make things work, but it's just the product.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I've heard some people say that, well, SEO is okay, but my conversion isn't there. I'd rather pay per click because I know somebody is looking to act this week and get their air conditioner or their house painted or roofed or whatever. Whereas if I'm working on SEO, people go to my website, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
Have you heard that? Good.
Yeah, I will say there's a lot of SEOs who don't really care about the conversion, and I don't subscribe to that, because it's a holistic experience. We do something that we call strategic SEO, where we're not just thinking of your placement, but also, like, what is the psychographic of someone who's typing in this search? If someone's looking for emergency AC repair in my city, the psychology of that person coming to your website, they want to see certain things. And so connecting those dots up is something that we're considering. But I have seen it in the case of SEOs where it's like, I just want you to rank number one, and then it stops there. But you're just not going to get the most out of it, because you're just ranking, but you don't actually consider the person behind it.
Ranking number one without conversion doesn't do you much good, right?
No, you can't take rankings to the bank.
That's right. So tell me, how do you design a site that has high conversion?
That's a great question. One of my favorite books having to do this is Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it frames your business and your website copy in the form of a story. Some of these best stories that are out there, I don't know, let's say Star Wars, right? There's a hero and he meets a mentor and he's facing a big bad guy, and there's this mission he's called to. That sort of principle can be applied to a service-based business.
Like a hero's journey kind of a thing, right?
100%. And so building, leveraging the hero's journey, embedding that into your website copy, like, that's something that can do wonders in terms of helping to convert more people. And of course, there's other, tactics like, having reviews and using the language of your customer versus you as a technical expert, having testimonials, videos, and things like that. But I would start off with the broader frame of, telling your business in the form of a story, but you are not the hero. It is your customer actually who is the hero. And that's the psychology flip to make.
So what is the best converting site you've ever helped design, and what did it do and how well did it convert?
Yeah, so the case study I mentioned before, a DM Select Services, they've now sold to ARS, a big franchise company in the HVAC space. So we helped, worked with a web designer on the site. I wish I could show you guys the site because they took it down to consolidate it into the franchise. But one of my favorite things of the site was we had custom images of the owners, Dan and Jim. And so, we had like Dan with like a fan that he was holding. And, there's just like all these fun elements that we added to the site. And so we combined that with good copywriting plus SEO, and the site did phenomenally well. And so it's never just like one thing. It's a combination of factors, I'd
Because
say.
what gets a person to look at the site and actually make the phone call or fill out the conversion form, actually take action versus going to the next site?
It's like being in that category of one. Um, first I think it begins on what they're searching for, and so if it's someone who's searching for an emergency service,
Well,
you
let's say,
know,
okay, good. Do emergency service, then go nuts. The emergency service, what's that need to look like? My toilet's leaking, literally shit's all over the ground. I need something right away. What would that look like?
yeah, so you land on the site. I mean, immediately, first thing that needs to be very clear is the call to action. So, having some, phone number and also speaking the language of, hey, like we are a differentiator, like, 24/7 emergency service available on weekends. Like that's the sort of thing that someone might be looking for. And maybe that could be it. If someone has like shit all over the floor, they're not going to be looking at, 5 or 6 different sites and trying to figure out who specifically to go to. If it's more of something that's non-emergency,
So let's say now I'm talking about maybe a roofing contract, remodeling contract, roofing contract. Let's say, well, I mean, my roof's not leaking, right?
yeah,
But I have a 20-year roof and it's 25 years or whatever, right?
yes,
My neighbor came over and said, hey, I had their roof done. They redid my roof. It isn't leaking yet, but he scared the heck out of me because, well, if you don't get it soon, it gets really expensive if
yes,
you wait too long and blah, blah, blah. So I'm saying, okay, I guess I need to do a new roof. How much is going to cost me? What, $30,000, $40,000? That's a lot of money. Who should I pick? And I go to Google, I put roofing companies in Philadelphia or wherever.
hmm
How does my website look like one they're really going to pick?
So you go to the search, you land on the website. I mean, I think the first thing when you land on the site is at least when you're designing it, it needs to have, speak to that, some of the questions that you actually mentioned, like, okay, pricing, what sets you apart, being able to answer the questions that a customer is asking themselves in their minds, like that's the essence of designing a really good web page. And so when it comes down to it, one easy way is just answering what those questions are. And a great book is People Also. Oh man, I forgot. No, They Ask You Answer. That's the name of the book.
They ask you answer. Okay.
And
Now,
so yeah, it's just identifying what those questions are and answering
so
that on the
would
website.
you do like a focus group? I mean, because you're a bad customer because you know everything, right? So your opinion sort of doesn't count, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not selling to you.
No.
So do you get a couple potential customers or people, like a focus group to find out the opinion of people that would actually be looking at your site versus your own?
Yeah, we actually run a survey for websites, and so we compile a list of 50 people that are looking to, that are within the demographic. We have a list of questions. We may show their website currently, or we may show a competitor's website, and we just ask them, hey, what do you feel about this or that or this or that? And so we gather data that way. Secondarily, is we do set up what's called a screen recording on some websites where we can identify what are the click patterns, like where do people stop, what do people do on a website. So we have qualitative data as well as quantitative data to build the ideal
So if
website.
everybody leaves on page 3 and they don't sign up, obviously something's wrong with page 3 or whatever, right?
There's a problem, yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So what does that research cost? Is it 1,000, 100? I mean, how much does it cost to do that kind of research to decide what your site should look like?
Yeah, it can be pretty cheap. So the specific platform that we use is PickFu. So PickFu is a polling website. So you can run a survey for as little as $50. It could go up there depending on how many respondents and questions that you have. And then to install something like heat mapping on a website or screen recording, there's Hotjar that you can use, and it's very low cost, maybe like $10-20 a month just to collect some of those screen recordings.
And that's better than Google Analytics, for example.
It'll collect different data. So so if you're looking more to get a sense of like what people are saying and what people do, like in terms of clicks, like that's good. Google Analytics just collects data just in a different way. But if you could use a combination, that'd be best.
Okay, so one, if you want to design your website, maybe do some surveys to find out what's going to click and what's not going to click and how it's going to work. Because my thought is, I know a lot of people that have been number one or rated number one, and things didn't get any better, and they couldn't figure out why.
Mm-hmm.
They go, well, I'm number one, but nobody comes to my, nobody like calls me or clicks on the form or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's it could be multiple things. One could be they're ranking number one, but for the wrong keywords. And so, if you rank for the wrong keywords in the wrong service, like you're not going to get the calls. But then secondarily, yeah, it could be a conversion thing. It could be your offer. It could be the competition. So once you got the keyword set, then yeah, I would then move to some of these other tools too.
So what's the process? I hire you or someone like you and say, okay, I haven't revised my website in 2 years. Nobody ever calls me through the website. I'm on the Angie's list and I go, these crappy people that show up, they are terrible. I'm on House, same kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
And I watch this podcast and say, okay, I'm ready to like change my life. Okay. What is the process I go through working with someone like you? What does it cost and how long does it take?
Yeah, no, we'd start off with just a no cost call. Like I just want to get to know you better, understand what your goals are. You 1 million looking to grow to 3. What have you tried? What are some of those challenges? And would this be a good fit? If we decide this is a good fit, the first thing is that we would now try to reconcile your business goals with a strategy. So we'd build a list of keywords. You'd find your competitors. We'd look at the gaps of your website versus what someone is doing that's doing really well. And then we'd advise, okay, maybe we have to build up a website. Or
we can tell if they're doing well by looking. Is there a way that we can look at their website and look at their conversion and their numbers and that kind of thing?
Yes, if we get access to their analytics, we can, but there are some external tools that give a rough estimate of how they're doing. And usually we can guess if, hey, you're doing well or not. Yeah.
So we can look at the competitor's website and sort of, I don't even want to call it social media spy, for lack of a better term, and find out, okay, what is this guy doing? He's the number one ripper in my market. He seems to be getting all the work. I'm not getting all the work. What is he doing that I could imitate or emulate, which will allow me to get closer to what he's doing?
Yes, the beautiful thing for Google and SEO specifically is that Google has to. It's like a poker game where you can see everyone's cards, right? You can see who Google loves because they're on the first page of Google, and we have tools to reverse engineer what does Google like about them.
Okay, why they're top. Okay, so you let's keep getting to the part. You go through the thing, you look at their website, and then keep going. How do you change it, and how do you move from there?
Yeah, so from there, so we take a look at the website, we identify where the gaps. Typically, it's going to do with how your website was built, you're missing content, or you don't have enough backlinks. And so, based off of that, we build a plan. We'd implement the plan for you, and track it on a monthly basis. And also we do track things like phone calls, form fills to make sure that the results that you're actually getting are turning into closed business. And so, it's the process. The rough cost usually, let's say that you are a $1 million to $2 million contractor looking to invest in your SEO and grow. Typically, it's me around 2 to 3K per month. And the results, it really depends on where you're starting. We can see results in as early as the first few months, but to really get the number one rankings, it's usually going to be around 6 months plus to really get it down. But there is some really cool things that we're doing this upcoming year that can really tighten up the process. So it could be as early as 3 months for SEO.
Okay. And how do you evaluate ROI on marketing? Was there 10 times, 2 times, 3 times? How do you evaluate whether the marketing is working and it's a good investment?
Yeah, the way that it would be done is connecting up the leads that you collect on the front end of marketing and then pairing it with the data that you have in your CRM on the back end. The challenge we have with some other contractors that they don't share with us the access to their CRMs and don't allow us to pair it up. But that would be that would be one of the ways. It's not clean. It's not always clean though, because a customer that comes to you, they might have seen your SEO, they might have seen a billboard, they might have seen a radio, and it's a multitude of other factors that lead to that sale. But one way you can do it is through connecting those sources. There is a platform that I do love as well. Trying to remember, it's the guys who run the data-driven trades. They have a reporting and analytics company where they work with companies in the trade and they tie the marketing with the backend CRM as an automation. And so that is really one of the only tools focused on the trades that I've seen do that. Oh, they're called Searchlight.
They use HubSpot or something else, or they have their own CRM.
Yes, yeah, it could be like Service Titan, but yeah, they connect the two together and actually get revenue attribution versus just marketing leads, which is, cool. I think, an amazing thing.
That's really makes people feel better about spending the money for sure.
Yes.
So, John, this is all good information. If someone wants to do a discovery call with you or find out more about how you could help their company, how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. You can go to our website, Polianna.net. That's POLIANNA.net. Or you can email me at john@polianna.net. You can text me also if you want, 703-475-6907. And yeah, happy to chat. Really just want to help. And we also have a podcast to check out too if you'd like, HVAC Financial Freedom.
Okay. And do you just work with HVAC or other? What is your market? What are your target markets for your own?
Yeah. So for us, folks in the trades, we work with HVAC folks, plumbers, electricians, roofers. And so the trades and local service-based businesses, that's our sweet spot.
Okay. So some service-based trade company would be what you do.
Yes. And between 1 to 5 million is usually also another great like you're perfect for us if that fits your profile.
Okay, that's all good. Okay. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate being here. And if you are interested in learning more about marketing and have a question about SEO, how to do geofencing and all that stuff, which most of you guys don't understand, I would call John because I think he can answer those questions for you. Thanks, John. I appreciate being here.
Appreciate it, Paul.